we are going to get started with our next presenter. Dr. Thomas Easley and his team put together a phenomenal toolkit for us. Dr. Easley is a certified diversity, equity, and inclusion consultant that works with academic institutions, corporate entities, and other organizations to help them actualize a strong diversity initiative that welcomes everyone and shifts work culture to be equitable. He served as the inaugural diversity director in the College of Natural Resources at NC State University, which I was just there last week, and is a beautiful campus. He also served as the inaugural assistant dean of community and inclusion at the Yale School of the Environment. And now Dr. Easley is the founder and CEO of Mind Heart for Diversity, LLC, which is his diversity consultancy. Easley recently published the text Mind Heart for Diversity, where he explores his lessons learned working as a diversity professional. So I will turn it over to Dr. Easley to focus on the toolkit and discussing the concepts and ideas. Dr. Easley, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Farrell. I appreciate you. Thank you to everyone for being here today. I've enjoyed listening and learning from everyone. So let me just go ahead and I'll share my screen here. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. So you can go to the next slide. As everyone here can read. So you see what I'm getting ready to do is a toolkit overview. Okay. Now, first, I'm very prideful. I'm going to go ahead and put my bias out there with my team. These are actually all my former students from NC State to Yale. So Vivian Breckenridge, Morgan Cheek, myself, obviously, Brian Jackson, and Kashi Naylor. Now, here's the thing about all four of them. They all are either natural resource related, meaning that they have a background, okay, or they're forestry related, or with products or parks and recreation and tourism management. So I made sure that I brought people in who were in fields that were somewhat, if not, fully related, or they, like me, are foresters. So I wanted to make sure that I did do that. Next slide, please. So in this toolkit, we addressed 3 topics, right? Okay, of course, 3 topics. One is recruitment, and we also put the definitions of each one of these terms that is in the toolkit. And what I'm also happy to share with you is that there's a table of contents in the toolkit. So if you want to go to definitions, you can find them. If you want to find the recruitment section, you can find that. If you want to find the retention section, you can find that. However, when thinking about engagement, next slide, please. We understood that engagement is a part of both recruitment as well as retention. As a matter of fact, successful recruitment, successful retention actually involves engagement. So, so what we did was, with the support of also the organizers of this conference, everyone from Chris to Amy and others who were on the committee, we all saw it the same, that engagement was a part. So that's why you see recruitment and engagement. And then I have recruiting with DEI in mind encourages representation and engagement of diverse groups of people in the workplace, which in turn contributes to a more innovative, productive, and healthier organizational culture where teams and individuals thrive. And then, of course, the second bullet, retention and engagement. When you intentionally cultivate an inclusive workplace, diverse employees will thrive and want to stay for the long haul. Now, I want to go to the next slide. I'm going to kind of critique. I'm going to go ahead and critique the toolkit probably before you do. Okay, and that's all right. And I'm sure you're going to have your critiques, and I would love for other people to hear them. Thank you. All right, so now challenging thought for you to consider. All right, here we go. Number 1, the first bullet: convince versus encourage. Now you'll see that that my team, has in there, like, there are a couple of titles where it says how to convince, like, diverse people. And what I want to, what I want to do is I want to challenge that and say, first, you can't convince anybody. Okay. All right. Convince, persuade, coerce, it's all on the spectrum. You can't convince. If anything, you want to encourage and you want to support people, okay, to be in your place of work. 2, to encourage takes time, patience, resources, as well as effort. Okay, takes all of it. It takes the time that we all have limited amounts of, the patience, which I know a lot of us have probably minimal of that too, resources, whether it's limited or whether we have a lot, and then of course the effort, which means that you have to be willing. And I think that individuals like Craig, Kathy, and the others who were on that wonderful panel explain that. Setting an environment so people can empower themselves. I think that there's a mistaken understanding we have around DEI when we say let's empower people. You can't empower me. What you can do is set up an environment so I can empower myself. That's what you can do. So, this is where, we encourage you to think about, how you're, setting up some may say milieu, some may say environment, some may say academics, some may say a public organization, private company, but whatever it is, ask yourself, how are you setting the environment up for people to empower themselves to do things as it relates to DEI? Establish accountability at all levels. Okay, so a lot of times when I'm brought in to do this work, I may be brought in to work with the people in the trenches, if you will, but workplace culture isn't just controlled by them, it's also controlled by the leadership, actually. So then that's when I encourage people to do this at all levels, because whoever is not studying DEI might be the reason why you're struggling with DEI. Next, toolkits are helpful. Okay, and let me go back to the statement I just made, because I know sometimes young people say I throw shade. That's not a shade thing. Okay, that's me addressing mediocrity, and here's why. Many people want to be celebrated for doing great work, but they haven't done what needs to be done for them to understand what they're doing. So that's the reason why I said that, to establish accountability. Okay, meaning you have to be willing to go and learn, not willing to say what you value only. Okay, toolkits are helpful. All right, but real life circumstances always override written material, or as some people say, reality eats strategic planning for breakfast. Okay, all right, I love strategic planning and I despise it at the same time. All right, I love to sit and read and write, and then real life reminds me why I despise it. Like, oh yeah, that's right, we can't prepare for everything that happens in real life. So I just want to say that even though it's a toolkit, and you know how children, when we get toys, sometimes we want to play and read the instructions, I also want to encourage us to realize that it's a toolkit, it's a reference guide, it's here to help. Okay, it is here to help. All right, and I hope that it will be helpful to you. Last bullet, if you are not a part of the growth and development of an employee, then how can you have an expectation of them? And that's the thing that I really like to encourage us to think about. Okay, like if you're not engaging with them, okay, if you're not spending time with them, then I want to encourage you to think about what expectations that you and I will have for people who are working with or working for us. So basically what I'm saying is, if you're going to engage in DEI and you're bringing people into your organization, it would behoove everyone to make sure that you're engaging with the folks that you're bringing into your organization. Next slide, or really the last slide. Table of contents. So I'm proud of the team. I'm so proud of my team because they're very organized. Okay, so you can see this is a table of contents. Thomas is not making this up. Okay, I'll put it to you like this. If you have a problem with this toolkit, if anything, come and talk to me. And I mean that not in an intimidating way. Please come and talk to me, because I supported them. All right, and I put my name on this. Okay, Chris does as well. So I appreciate Mr. Gibbons for supporting us and doing this work. So one, definitions. Okay, it's a lot of definitions. As a matter of fact, it was my teammates' plan to put the definitions in there. They were like, Doc, what's recruitment? And I was like, I did it to you. Doc, what's retention? You graduated working with me. But anyway, they were more specific. They said, no, we got to give them everything. And I said, okay. So I said, then that means we're going to do diversity, equity, inclusion. We're going to keep going. And I appreciate what CJ said about inclusion, actually challenging that, which is why I think we also have access and justice there as well, and a host of other terms. Recruitment, how to open the door to diversity. Really proud of that section, because everyone here cares about this topic. And so we did give you tips on how to do it. Retention, how to convince, but remember, I say encourage. I just didn't want to misquote my teammates. How to encourage diverse staff to stay for the long haul. Okay. 3, a challenge and an opportunity. Okay. See everything either as both. That's my opinion. Okay. Whenever I'm dealing with difficulty in the workspace or working with folks, 10 years ago, I was like, oh man, another problem. Now, one of the things that I do is I psych myself out by going, I wonder how we're going to figure this out. So I'd really encourage you to think, like that way. almost done action plan template. Okay, so and I want to also actually thank Amy for this, and then of course Nick for putting this all together. We want you to be able to take this plan, and then just in case if you want to then monitor your progress and look at what you're doing, there's a template in the back that you can apply for yourself. Okay, and we have additional resources, and then of course we have a reference list. So technically that's really the end of my presentation, but it's not the end of my comments. And here's the final comment. It took a team of us to put this together. Okay, it took a team. It took a team of us to put it together. Then it took another team of brilliant people to look through it, catch mistakes, send it back to the brilliant team. The brilliant team made more changes, send it back to the brilliant committee. The committee looked at it again and sent it back. What I'm saying is that when it comes to DEI, it does require a team. Okay, and so even though I love doing this work, I recognize that I can't do it alone. And I also know I don't know everything. And the folks who were younger than me, I agree with Kathy. Sometimes they're easier to interact with, and I feel like they know more than me. But at the same time, I think other generation too, people who are elders or older than me, they also know more than me because they've lived, they're the professionals, they have helped to craft our discipline. So to me, that means everyone is valuable. So, as far as I'm concerned, there's no innocence here. We all have things to do and have things to work. There's nothing but greatness here though, because that means we all can do better. So I just encourage us to do the work. Don't remove yourself, from it. It's going to get challenging and difficult, but hey, that's part of the reason why we do this work, because it's challenging and difficult. So with that, I'll and my teammate just put a comment in. Vivian, love you. I appreciate you. Everyone is valued. So I guess I'll pause. Amy, if anyone has any questions, you can stop sharing my screen if you like, or you can say questions. So.
Absolutely. Does anyone have any questions of Dr. Easley at this time?
Is this the time when you really want questions? Is that all right? Is it good? All right.
Kathy, so let's go.
All right. I love it. I think it's so great. And I love the fact that there's definitions too, because we struggle, like that's what we need to do. We need more definitions ourselves in the work that we're doing. So I really think definitions are helpful. They can feel limiting sometimes, but it's still a good exercise in terms of learning. I like the recruit, the retain. I normally use 3 words together: recruit, retain, advance. And I'm curious if there are plans to look at advancement, so that part of that is a diversity in senior leadership teams, diversity on boards and things like that, or because you're looking at perhaps a younger generation. I'm just curious what your thoughts are about advancement for the toolkit in general, or why you chose not to include that.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that we did was we more so responded to what we were asked to address. So we were more so asked to address recruitment, retention, as well as engagement. We also wrote this though, or composed it, I should say, more so as an organic type document. So things can be added to it. Okay, things can be changed. So we definitely did not treat this toolkit. And I see Chris shaking his head too, because that was definitely, I want to give him the credit of being the nucleus around that. But we knew that this document would be something that would really need to keep changing and keep growing, just as DEI keeps changing, we as human beings keep changing. So I want to say thank you, Kathy, for that. The answer is yes, that can be added. I also want to say thank you for sharing that, because that shows intentionality of you, not just thinking about bringing people in, but giving them a chance to also rise up. And just to say this to everyone listening, that's one of the challenging things that I think a lot of leaders struggle with. It's like, it's either we struggle to bring people in, we struggle to keep them. And one of the ways you keep them is provide them opportunity to grow and to move up. And so then that's the next part, how do you do that? So yes, the answer is yes.
Thank you. And Vivian just commented, advancement is embedded in part in the retention section. Example, see sponsorship.
May I jump in for just a quick moment? Just wanted to say, one of our goals with this toolkit was to begin this conversation with a group of interested people who didn't need to be necessarily convinced that this was an issue, but was something that could help improve their organization, and how to get from A to B, not necessarily jump all the way to Z. It's a path. We will, and everybody who is part of this program will be invited to a private LinkedIn group at some point this week. And these are the type of things that I foresee being part of the conversation. You know, what's missing, what needs to be added, what's working, what's not, etc. So I'm very hopeful for the continuation of this. You know, the true goal, the part that I saw as the most important was not that we spend, you know, 6 or 7 hours together in 1 week, but that the 6 or 7 hours drive the conversation and our thought patterns forward.
Thank you, Chris. Vivian said, a note for everyone, if you have a paper copy, please make sure to correct Brian's name on the cover. His name is Brian Jackson. Thanks, Vivian.
King is his title, Jackson is his name.
Any other questions for Dr. Easley? Matthew? Oh, okay. I thought you had unmuted yourself. Sorry. All right. Hearing, seeing none.
Is this something that's shared? Sorry, that's me again. I apologize. Is this something that we can share, we can't share? Like, what is the feeling around this document of ownership or what have you? I just would love some clarity on that. Like, my instincts are to share it with my team, for example, but I'm like, oh, maybe I'm not supposed to do that. And so I don't know if it's still a work in progress, but I'd love some clarity on that.
Well, I think, well, it's always a work in progress. So I'll say that we're not opposed to, you know, folks sharing it with the team, but I would just encourage you, please, to just use that caveat, you know, by saying that it's still a work in progress, which means that we can add to it, you know, that we can, you know, take some things away if we need to. But right now, what you have is what you can share.
Thank you.
And Chris has something.
And I'll add to that as well. You know, this is something that the committee discussed at length. And obviously, you know, as a kind of a paid event, we want to create value for all the folks who participated here. So, you know, we're recording sessions. We have the toolkit. We intend, and forgive me, maybe you remember, I'm totally blanking on the time frame, but I think it's 3 months. To, you know, ask each of you to kind of share this internally, use it as you see fit, but, you know, not necessarily put it out into public forums, etc. And then we're actually looking as part of the rollout towards Black History Month to begin sharing out some of the speaker engagements on other portions of this to the greater public, to folks who maybe weren't able to participate because of finances or time, etc. But we want to make sure that participants are, you know, the first benefactors of what's being shared here to start.
Thank you, Chris. Any other questions for Dr. Easley? All right, well, hearing and seeing none, Dr. Easley, thank you for sharing the toolkit with us. And it's very important to have this research and continually adding to your toolkit to stay up to date on practices and to continue to recruit and retain diverse talent. So thank you to you and your team for putting this work forth.